Before we get started, this video is sponsored by FaB Foundry, one of the first Flesh and Blood specialized game stores in the world, a pillar of the local FaB community in Portland, Oregon, a world tour organizer, and my personal favorite LGS. FaB Foundry is your one-stop shop for all things FaB related, whether that's singles, sealed product, playmats, sleeves, dice and tokens, especially featuring products from Metal FaB and Thai cards. FaB Foundry also offers a rewards program, which you can use to get store credit back on all your purchases. So please go check out FaB Foundries, support our local community in Portland, and use our promo code FleshandBad for a discount on your next singles order.
Rev up those fryers, because I am sure hungry for one. Help! Help!
Alright, hey everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bad, and today we're going to be playing some more Marlynn. By popular request, Marlynn is going to be the deck that I'm going to bring you to the Seattle Calling, and if you see us all there, feel free to say hi. But this is the deck that I'm titling the Cindra-Smacker 9000, which is basically just running Hamstring Shot in the main deck. Not a super good development, but I think this is kind of like an evolution from Taylor's list, where he's running like the red Hamstring Shot as like a one-of on the board. I'm basically just changing the hamstrings, or I'm changing the Widowmakers from his list to hamstring shots because I think the effect is pretty relevant, and even semi-relevant against decks that like aren't redline or just like don't care. Like you can sometimes like mess up decks that are just trying to like pitch perfectly, like Verdance, for instance. If they don't block it, then they have to pitch like an extra card like Felling or whatever. Basically just kind of like a meta call to make the Cinder matchup just a little bit more tolerable, because I think that's one of like the more prevalent matchups you're going to see at like the calling level and stuff like that. But yeah, anyways, this is going to be the deck list. Again, there are 6 slots that are going to be missing, or sorry, there are 4 slots that are going to be missing from this list because I currently am still working through the Gravy plan. The Gravy plan is probably like the hardest part of this deck because like there's a couple directions you can go. You can obviously go with the Swells and the Drop Thinkers, which I think are in Taylor's list. And then I've also been experimenting with like the Endless stuff, which is sometimes decent, but sometimes just a little bit vulnerable. I think that I roughly have like 4 to 5 slots to dedicate to Gravy right now, so hoping that I won't have to hoping that I'll eventually like figure out a plan to basically figure out how to deal with Gravy. Like I think there's a couple different directions you can go. But yeah, we are also going to be trying out Murderous Rabble. So I think a lot of people might have noticed like the toxins or the what was it, toxicities from Taylor's list. So one thing I wanted to try in place of the toxicity was basically Murderous Rabble, just as functionally like the same card. So it's funny, like the value proposition of toxicity is basically a blue 0 for 3, right? That's 2 block. I'm basically trying to adjust that value proposition so you front load it basically, right? So I guess the downside of toxicity, right, is if it's on something that doesn't hit, then you don't get the value. So it's basically like almost like a 50-50 of whether you do get the toxicity value or you don't get the toxicity value, right? Into a lot of decks, but like into some decks, it's obviously like guaranteed and stuff. Murderous Rabble is a very similar value proposition, right? In that you don't know if you're going to get like 1 value or 3 value out of it. But the effect is still like pretty low opportunity cost on like a blue 3 block. I think this also could take the place of like another arrow, like maybe this turns into like blue Widowmaker or something. But yeah, for now I'm going to try out the Murderous Rabbles to see how that performs. And yeah, for the most part, the board's still the same. Like, we're still running, like, the Battering Bolts. We're still running our Riches or Ataya, still running the Tar Pits. Honing Hood, I've been less and less impressed by, just because, like, I don't know. I've seen a lot more Cinder lists that are just, like, not running Warmongers, especially after Worlds. Like, it seems like they've cut a lot of it, just to be, like, a bit more aggressive. So I'm kind of debating cutting the Honing Hood. I think this is, like, a very borderline card, but we're running it for today. I think it's still also fine in the Cinder matchup as well. Yeah, that's basically going to be the deck list for today, so let's go ahead and get to the games. On the 1 Cinder on Talishar, let's make it a good one. Alright, so to go in second, we'll try out the Honing It today. Again, I'm still not a huge fan of this card. And I think we're cutting 1 Rebel in this matchup. Alright, let's see how it goes. There are a lot of different strategies you can kind of do into Cindra. Like, I think that there's maybe room in Sideboard for like Remorseless and stuff. I've heard some talk of that. I've also heard, obviously people playing like Red Hamstring Shot, I think is fine. But I do generally think you need at least a little bit of something extra into Cindra, just because like I don't think that running like King Shark plus Redfin plus Tar Pit as your like 3 really good cards are really good enough. It feels like you need just like maybe like 12 to 15 like relevant threats against Cindra. Sleep threats are also sometimes relevant, but not like all the time. So in general, I still like having these hamstring shots on the board over the Widowmakers, just because like having like a functional Mark of the Black Widow type effect into Cindra is very powerful. All right, not an amazing opener, but we'll make the best of it. My hope here is they just give us a little bit of filtering here by attacking out. let's go ahead and give up the big game trophy shot. We probably also don't mind giving up the Codex and the pre-med at some point. Seems like they're going to opt to flick pretty early. Okay. I think there's definitely merit to just trying to like convert the rest of the 3 cards and see if they can like push through a mass trigger. But because they did this early, it does mean we can actually now just shut down mask with the Codex. I think we're going to do that since we haven't seen an arrow. Seems more likely than not that they're just going to send 3 here for another 4. Okay, so we'll get the full 4-card filter here. So we're going to draw towards hopefully some more better cards in the deck, like 3 Oaks, King Sharks, Red Fins, Hamstrings. Kind of the idea behind going second is that you just kind of want to block out. Okay, so this is pretty good. We can take game. Bit of a puzzle here. The question is whether or not we want to like hold on to the Honing Hood super hard. I feel like the safe line is to like just pitch the Golden Tip and then hold on to the Hamstring, which I think maybe we're gonna do. Yeah, let's go for this. We're not gonna like take game load anything. We could also like use the Honing Hood to like do some funky stuff if we wanted to also play the Golden Tip, but I think that gets awkward. So let's go ahead and just 3 Oak here. Got a Hamstring, which is at least nice, so we're at least stripping 1 card from their hand. Load that. We'll pitch the elephant, and I guess pitch the hamster as well. So coming in for 10 here with basically on it, Mark of the Black Widow is that's kind of how I think about this card. Is like you basically are forcing a card out of hand, even if it's in pitch. It's functionally the same against Cindra because like the game's not going the second cycle, right? So making them pitch an extra card is functionally the same as like making them discard a card, right? So basically very similar value proposition to Mark. But we do have a 3 Oak for next turn, which is really good. So they get to basically have like a pseudo 4-card hand here. Ooh, and we also draw the Tar Pit, which is nasty. Hand still does need a little bit of help here. Like we do need to find an arrow relatively bad. I don't think we want to block here. I think we're going to wait till Chain Link 3 to try to give the Tar Pit. I think they're going to go like 2-1, 2-1, maybe like 4 here, just to make it like the most annoying. I'm trying to guess like what the Cindra opponent is doing, but I think it's more likely than not going to be like 4-ish on the next Chain Link. So maybe they have like empowerment here. If they just have like a head jab though, this is not amazing. But for what it's worth, if they do go for the empowerment and this hits, they're not going to get the extra dagger flick trigger. I've seen some people go to 2 Tar Pit traps in this matchup. I still am partial to 3 just because like seeing it is such a powerful thing, and it looks like they did have the empowerment here, which is kind of funny. So we get to stuff both the mass trigger here as well as the Burning Blade Dance trigger because we block like this. And the mask will not continue for the rest of the turn, which is also quite nice. It means like the mask basically triggers here and then does not trigger for the rest of the turn. Right? Yeah, that's why Hamstring is, I've been very partial to it in this matchup, just being a very powerful card. Ooh, wait, one thing we could do with Honing Hood is with double 3 of a kind, you could actually like Honing Hood one of the 3 Oaks into our arsenal if we brick on the first one. That's kind of cool. Again, I'm still been like kind of down on Honing Hood in this matchup just because like not having the starting gold is rough. Like the Honing Hood value proposition if there are not on Warmongers is like kind of poor. Seems like they're just here at the resentment. Hopefully they don't have like a 1 cost here. Would be ideal. Ooh, Breaking Point is relatively annoying. So we could actually Honing Hood, but the only issue with Honing Hood is that we do have to like give up. We would have to give up another card basically. Like we're just be swapping it. I think it's still maybe worth it to like give up armor here. Then in that case, like they flick here, they buy back their daggers. Maybe still fine. Awkward, but fine. Maybe we're just gonna rip the double 3 next turn. Just see how it goes. We're drawing 6 cards. We should be likely to hit one of our better arrows in this matchup. So let's start with a hand 3-oak. Let's not get greedy. We'll just try to send like a king short for 10, I think is my ideal here. All right, there's definitely some. I'm glad I played the hand 3-oak first and didn't get greedy. Let's go ahead and now play the other 3-oak, and we do have some funny stuff we can do with Honing Hood. All right, so we do draw at bare minimum here a yellowfin harpoon, which is not obviously amazing. So theoretically, we could Honing Hood, put 8 game in arsenal, play out a bunch of crap, and then send like a yellowfin, or sorry, send a goldfin. Maybe even better, because it means we also get to hook the goldfin, right? I think we're gonna pass here. Unfortunately, we just like bricked really hard and didn't find our disruption, which sometimes happens. So now we Honing Hood, put take game into our arsenal. Codex. I think this still makes sense. It's just obviously a bit awkward. Grab that Codex. And we put the Lone Shark into arsenal. Play the Lone Shark. We could end up actually just sending the yellowfin here if we wanted. Maybe that's another consideration. I think I'm going to go for the safe play and just send the yellowfin here, though. Go ahead and crack here. I guess we're going to hold on to our pit trap. Load here. Fuck this. Yeah, a little bit of an awkward turn. Yeah, we kind of just bricked super hard on any of our relevant arrows there. Like part of like this is also kind of part of a reason why I almost want like an extra like red hamstring in the board, just as like some other relevant threat to play into this specific matchup. But yeah, it definitely feels a little bit bad here to draw what was it like functionally 6 cards and not see any of our really relevant arrows. Ooh, overcrowded. Yeah, they're getting extra 4 block there. Yeah, we do still connect and get a gold, which is nice. So that will kind of hopefully set us up for next turn. One thing that is concerning though is we have gone shields down with the Honing Hood though, so it could definitely be in a bit of danger if they do manage to find like Warmongers. So I think we're supposed to let this hit. Yeah, I think I generally try to treat this card as like 4 damage function. Like it is just a 0 for 4. Like I try not to get greedy with this card and like overblock it or whatever. Like obviously it incentivizes you to block, right? Because it's like a 0 for 3. It's like, oh, you want to block at the start of the chain link or whatever. But in actuality, it feels like it's actually kind of wrong to do that. Okay, throw a dagger on top is good info. I think here we're just gonna go for the tar pit. Get out of hand, send maybe a sleep dart off a tipple or something like that. Seems not bad. They're probably gonna be incentivized to want to keep an arsenal here if we do go for the tar pit though. Okay, they are gonna go for the flick. Let that resolve. We could see if they have one more thing. So they didn't get a resource, which means probably not this. Maybe we actually do want them to try to attack in here. Let's get a little greedy and just see what happens. Like, I don't want to tar pit there in case they just like end up passing here. Like, we're not really actually stopping anything with tar pit in that scenario. So a couple things we can do here. Could actually just like tipple, discard the tar pit, just for a yellow. It's kind of interesting. I think I actually don't mind that, especially when we have Tunic up. So we're digging. Oh, sorry, we don't want to pitch the tar pit. We want to discard the tar pit. So we pitch the sleep dart, which is still like semi-relevant. Discard the tar pit for now. All right, prevent is not a bad draw. Or is it a bad draw? It might be a bad draw. We do Codex, and Not terrible. So we know about the throw dagger that they have, which is a little bit awkward for them, given that they don't have, given that they only have the one dagger, it means they can't like click twice until they get to chain link 3. Go ahead and pass here. Let's crack 1 or 2 gold and just see what we can find. I'd maybe actually crack 1 more gold here, because if we draw blue, then we get to pump the sleep dart as well for 4. Oh, excellent. Okay, perfect. So now we can also inform our ponder token. Good. Codex. Sleep dart. Our opponent should be in a little bit of a tight spot here. Because the sleep dart is going to mean that they cannot buy back their daggers next turn, which is going to be actually kind of annoying if they're on the dagger thing. Which of these? These are both kind of crap, if I'm being honest. I'd kind of rather just find anything else. Oh, did I bottom? Sorry, poor time. I think that like passed really quickly. I think we want bottom both of these because I'm not really thrilled. Like, we could keep the tipple, which is reasonable, but like, I'd rather just find like any disruption at this point. And we've almost gone like halfway through our deck and just like not a ton of disruption at this point. Like, we've not seen, I think, a Redfin or King Shark. We saw the one hamstring, which was, I think, decent, right? We saw the one hamstring. But other than that, like, I think this is like a little bit of a low roll. I've had a lot of these kind of games in the Cindra where you just like do not find King Shark and then the game is like 10 times harder for no reason. But it's still like, we're still hitting them with some semi-relevant disruption here, which is not terrible. Those both resolve, so they cannot use their hero power next turn. That makes their throw dagger almost a bit worse. All right, let's go ahead and arsenal the pre-med because it's not doing us any favors. So I think I'm just gonna try to keep this full grip and maybe just say, like, if you have it, you have it. Like, I think this hand works, right? We draw. Ooh, Wrath is fine. Wrath is like totally fine. I can't even buy back. Okay, this is like actually like perfect for us. I was about to be like, oh, this Wrath is gonna be really annoying, but actually, it's functionally like 5 damage. Okay, maybe a little bit of an awkward turn here from the Cindra. Them also having to go off daggers here, I think, is gonna really bite them. They could, for what it's worth, like Dragon Scaler Flight Path. Oh no, they can't do that because they had to dagger first. So the question here is whether or not we want to attempt to block. I honestly think the answer is maybe no. It's like, let them have a mass trigger, and then we're just going to try to rip their hand next turn. I think it's fine to just give them a mask here. Like, they're going to be going off daggers, which means, like, the cards they're drawing are, like, a bit worse. I don't know. You have to cut through, but they've not. Or they did hit with a dagger, yeah, so they still get to do this. Okay. Again, we're just going to get aggressive. Again, we kind of just, like, need to do something here. Like, if we just end up blocking out and they have, like, an empowerment or something, then I think that's not very good. Like, we don't want to give 2 cards off this, basically. See what the follow-up is, if anything. Okay, no follow-up is perfect. So Cindra opponent is on no daggers, which is a very dangerous place to be. Go ahead and trophy shots. This might end up being awkward. Actually, if we draw blue, do we like lose? Draw blue. Actually, hold on. We probably actually should. Let me actually rethink this play a little bit more. We draw blue. I think we like maybe lose on the spot here. I guess the big game trophy shot is functionally like turning into the +4 buff. Let me actually hold on. Let me revert to the start of this turn. I think actually maybe making the gold from there like probably wrong. The thing in this case, actually, maybe the better play is to just not send this. Super weird. I think it kind of makes sense. Because now we can just like send the hamstring or whatever. Yeah, if we had like any 2-cost arrow, this would be like amazing here. This should still hopefully be kind of annoying for them. Maybe we actually should have blocked 3 on the last turn because we functionally discarded a card. Yeah, maybe I didn't think that play, because I think I was thinking we were gonna just like big game trophy shot and like try to rip that, but I think actually the correct play was to try to just block 3 at some point, even if we were letting through the mass trigger, and just like not even worry about anything else, right? So we should functionally be at like 3 heart life here, I think. Hoping the hamstring is still mildly annoying for them, especially when they're not on daggers. So we'll see how good our opponent's Cinder hand is. We do also get the Loan Shark out of the way, which is not bad. All right, so we discard a Sunken. Good. So the King Shark will hopefully be our win condition. For what it's worth, they're also going to need to pitch extra this turn. So since they don't have daggers, it actually makes a bit more sense to block early, right? Because they can't flick and like punish us for doing this, right? So we block early to try to stuff the mass trigger, like Chainlink 2 and 3, basically. I think this makes sense. So now they shouldn't be able to mask unless they have like Ignite or something weird. Ooh, okay, so the Ignite actually might be a little bit painful. Now they buy back daggers. You can potentially like flick daggers and stuff. So I think we want to just save our gold baited hook here. So Ignite technically was the punish for this, I think. It definitely depends, I guess, on what their next card in hand is, though. The daggers are coming in for 0 for what's worth, so they do have to like flick here, which is it's still a bit awkward for them. So that actually closed off the mask movement there. And if they're just ending on a cut through, I don't think this is good enough, right? Because this did not hit. It's not the 3rd chain link in a row, right? They flick a dagger here. They don't draw a card. I think this still kind of made sense. Although I was thinking Ignite would be the punish, but it's actually not the punish because we have the Frailty. Because Ignite would let them theoretically do like 3 chain links long, but because we have the King Shark here, it shouldn't matter. Or we should be kind of stripping their hand next turn as well. Let's see what they got here, though. Alright, let's go and overpitch here. I think I will just go bait hook this. We might lose the hook. That's fine. They would have to give us like multiple cards here. If they're on a low card hand, then I feel a little bit more comfortable losing the hook. But if it does connect, then the gold actually might end up being quite relevant. Although losing 1 armor would definitely be maybe a little bit painful. We'll see how it goes. Like they have to give us like react plus all their armor. Maybe giving the hook there was wrong. I guess I'm questioning it now that they're like blocking with their full fridge, which is kind of funny. I think it's maybe right. I don't know. They have to give us like every piece of equipment they own plus multiple cards from hand. I think I'm maybe fine with that. They have 2 extra. Okay, so we still end up connecting with them. Funny enough. All right, so maybe a little bit justified there. I don't think there's a world where they like give us everything and then still manage to like win the game from that position. All right, this should basically lock it up. So they fire intent and strike first. They can flick dagger. So I guess we need to block. They can't make any resources, right? So they just would be dealing 2. So I think this block is safe. Could also hold on to the armor if that's worth it. Unless I'm missing something here. I don't think I am. They flick the last dagger, end up dealing 2. We go to 2. We should be safe here. So next hand, I think we're basically guaranteed, even if we draw like a red brick off the top, that we're sending a King Shark. All right, Riches should wrap it up. So I don't think they're going to be able to block 13. So this is typically how the Cindra matchup goes. Again, maybe made a couple of little, like, I think this is a little bit of a low roll in the game. We found our King Sharks like super late. But I think overall we still piloted it relatively correctly. Even if you have like a low roll game, you can still like put up a pretty decent fight, it feels like. Just on the back of like hamstrings and stuff. So let's actually take a look at like what our pitch deck was. So we'll give them a good game as well. Our pitch deck, so we had 9 cards in pitch. This is also like a way that you can like track like what you kind of got rid of. So we had, looks like 16 here. So we have 16 on the bottom. So we basically saw, so 16 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this was basically our. Wait, did we pitch a? Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, we pitched 3 cards here. So actually, it's 1, 2. So we pitched 16 cards in total, but 3 of them are still in the pitch stack. So it's 13. So it's 14. So I think our pitch stack is basically right here, right? If you take a look at it, wait, hold on. Let's unsort this actually. We pitched a red fin like last turn, I think, and then their pitch deck was like here, right? So we basically had 2 red fins left in the deck, a king shark, a codex, a tar pit, like hamstring. Like a lot of our good threats were actually like still left in the deck at that point. I think we like the only card that was like a really good threat in this matchup is like the red fin that we pitched, but that was like last turn basically when we were sending a king shark. So I'd say like overall the draw was not actually that good. For what it's worth, we did see all of our 3-oaks that game, which is pretty good. But like in terms of like the rest of our deck, it was not actually like we had a lot of our like more potent threats in this matchup still left in the deck. Yeah, maybe there's still a little bit of like there's a lot of variance that can happen in this matchup. Like you sometimes will not draw like all your good cards, and that's fine. But you can even still win on kind of just like a mid draw if you just like manage to hit like a hamstring or something early, which is why I like the card a lot. But yeah, hopefully that showcases the Cinder matchup. But yeah, right, playing against a Marionette. Let's see how this goes. So one I think evolution this matchup is that I think the tar pits are kind of bad in this matchup, so we're just going to kind of run the full aggro package. I'm still kind of torn between the battering bolts and the king sharks here, but I've been told that the battering bolts are like slightly more impactful. We'll see how that works though. So they're going to choose to go first, which is interesting because I think I'm still supposed to go second in this matchup. I think starting with tempo is fairly relevant. So I think the new development in this build is that it's a lot more kind of like red line dagger focused. I think there were some like more react focus builds before, but now it seems to be like more of kind of like a like graphene Calicera machine basically. All right, so they're just going to pass here. Do I want to take any filtering? Maybe I'll take a point of filtering. I feel like this is safe. If they want to attack in now, then I'm fine to just filter the rest of my hand. Okay, seems good to me. I feel like it was pretty safe there to do that because we can block like 5 on dagger plus. Overall, not too bad. This is a pretty good Goldfin Harpoon hand. I think we're just gonna go for that. Let's discard. Let's pitch catch of the day first. You might want to end up discarding one of these sleep darts. Just to have any arrow in the bin for Codex turn later. But it's also kind of nice that they didn't opt to mark us on turn 1 either. I don't know if that's correct. I feel like generally Mario's just want to like flick a dagger as fast as possible, basically. But maybe not in this case. Alright, so we refresh the gold. Ooh, 3-oak is a nice draw. So generally these lists don't tend to run a ton of Arsenal Disruption, which is kind of nice. So like they do run like Leave No, and sometimes you'll see like a 1-of copy of like CNC or something. But outside of that, not really typically a lot of Arsenal Disruption. There's also like Funnel Web that they can flip into. Right, throw dagger. Yep, so this is looking more like the I think it's like Kashi list is what people are calling it. I think it's like a mod Kashi was the one who like popularized this kind of like Mario style list. Alright, Mark the Black Widow. This is very likely to be hitting here anyways, so I'm kind of just incentivized to let it go. I'll also clear the mark, which is fairly relevant. Yep, so it looks like it was going to get go again plus 7 anyway, so I don't think we're throwing our hand in front of that by any stretch of imagination. I think just taking 7 here is fine. There are definitely some bad things that could happen, but the nice part about this is that we do end up clearing the mark, which is pretty relevant. What am I going to get rid of here? I'm halfway tempted to just YOLO this 3-0 because we haven't seen a ton of arrows. Pitch 1 arrow. Let's get rid of the pre-med is maybe the safest. Just because it doesn't block super well anyways. Okay, and it looks like they're just going to stop there. Interesting. So I think the play is we're actually going to have to end up pitching the Codex here. Could take a gold crack and just see what there's to see. Yeah, I still do want to kind of hold on to the Codex. It's not great now, but it could be a decent like arsenal target for next turn. So I think because we have the 3 gold, I'm going to get a little bit greedy here and just try to find a different arrow. All right, we were rewarded, fortunately. Like, there is some risk to doing that play. Mainly, you can get punished if you don't draw an arrow, then you have to crack a bunch of gold to find it, and then you're being inefficient. But I think overall, it's nice when you do hit, right? Also, to kind of like talk through a little bit of this matchup, I think Kraken is generally the most important arrow in this matchup, just because I think this deck is disproportionately like non-attack focused. So seeing the early Kraken is actually a really good thing. All right, unfortunately, our opponent has an inertia trap here. So this is generally also a 1-of in this deck. So a little bit unfortunately punished here, but maybe we're still going to connect anyways. So let's see. But yes, losing the Codex is not ideal. Okay, so we don't get to connect. They have it to the point. So we normally cannot target Persuasive, so we do have to still give 2 block on the Persuasive because of the Sea Lace, or because of the Dagger Flick. Unfortunately, they aren't able to flick here, which is somewhat nice. There is also an option here where we could just give up Sunken Treasure and preserve the armor. Oh, it looks like they're not even going to go for the Persuasive here. Interesting. Okay. So I think we're just going to let the dagger hit here. We've done a pretty good job of just staying... Okay, interesting. They have Incision as well. We've done a pretty good job of just like preventing them from just having like the super huge like Black Widow agent turn. But other than that, this matchup still... It can get out of control very, very fast, but I feel like we're in a decent enough spot here. All right, flipping into the Orb Weaver. Interesting. So let's start by cracking a little bit of gold. We might end up using this port side just for the cycling. Okay, interesting. So we did see them use their 1 inertia trap, so we can actually safely probably keep an arsenal here. So the question is, do we want to crack 1 deeper? We can also just refresh the gold off this, which I don't think is terrible. This may take a gold refresh, just so we're not having to pay the loan shark. I think is fine. And it's pretty likely that we're going to connect with the battering bolts, so the pre-med should be getting value. All right, so discard the Goldfin. Ooh, Ataya is nice draw. So now we just get to rip this for 13 here. We could actually go 1 deeper if we wanted to, get a little bit greedy. I think I want to sit on a little bit of gold here just so we have a buffer, though. I think 13 is probably good enough. 13 with the tie on is also quite nasty. So if they have any reacts in hand, it's going to be pretty painful to play them. That being said, they do have Tunic, so if they do see the line of pulling Tunic first and then playing the react, it's actually not as bad. It only really punishes them if they have like multiple D reacts in hand here, which I don't think this list actually runs a ton of. I think it's normally like Shelter 8 or something like that. But hopefully this will give us a little bit more information about their hand as well. All right, so we connect with the battering bolt. Excellent. Let's see the hand. We have a Spinneret and up 6. Okay, so non-disruption, which is very, very nice for us. That means our hand probably isn't getting blown up. All right, Kraken, excellent, excellent arsenal. Fantastic. You're going to discard the Spinneret. They have an up 6. I assume they're just going to smack in for... They also have the dagger pump in arsenal still, right? So this is representing like 10 or 12 damage here, I think. So the question is, do we want to give anything to this? I think the answer to that is probably no. Still have a lot of buffs in the deck for what it's worth. I might end up cracking a bit of gold next turn just to see if we can find something a little bit better to throw on the King Kraken. I think I'm fine here to just take 10. Or 12, or whatever this is. Yeah, 12. Seems good enough for me. And the nice thing is they clear the mark, so they flip back into normal Arakni, which is a little bit less scary. For what it's worth, they do have the Mask of Deceit, but it is random if they want to do it now. So let's start by cracking a bit of gold and just see what there is to see. I think I'm going to go 1 deeper. Just because we're also going to play out the second Loan Shark. Alright, not great hits, but that's fine. So now we can just use the battering for pitch here. I think going a little bit deeper there is still like fine, because we're now like a couple cards deeper to our better threats. And we still get to send a Kraken for 10 here. I think it's worth going for the risk, especially given how many buffs are still left in the deck. Like, we still have all of our take games, 2 pre-meds, 2 big game trophy shots. I think 3. We might have pitched a catch of the day, actually. Maybe like 2 catch of the day. And then, what else? Oh, golden tips as well. Should be running golden tips in this matchup. Yeah, hopefully this Kraken ends up being. So let's take a look at that hand. All right, Kiss of Death in Prague. Okay, seems fine. Not a huge deal. So their hand's not very good, and we also get to end on or start on a Codex next turn, which is really great. Oh yeah, perfect hand. Only issue is what here? Only issue is like almost want to block a bit. It's kind of funny if we block here with like Sea Lace or something, right? Then if they want to flip, they have to like flip. They have to play this, flick the dagger, and hope we block. So I think I'm actually supposed to make this block so they don't give us the mark. I think this makes sense. So this is preventing them from flipping, denying the mark for a turn. Oh, we do actually, they do, I guess, still send Glycera here, but I guess we just don't block Glycera. So it's like the same scenario here, like, they can't really safely flick if we just, like, don't block. So I think here, I'm gonna crack gold. Let's crack one more time and just see if we can get a little bit greedy here. I want like one more buff before we rip the 3 oak. Alright, still unfortunately not getting those buffs, but that's fine. So we can play out our catch of the day, play out our codex, and then probably just end up discarding to the loan sharks here. We might actually even hook, depending on how this goes. So it's 3 oak first. Draw our cards. Wow, tons of buffs left in the deck. I feel like we cycled through like most of our arrows at this point, which is kind of crazy. Right, so we now Codex again, get our Kraken, and we know they have a Kiss of Death in Arsenal. Now we, oh, sorry, we don't do that. We crack the Hammerhead in first here. So Hammerhead, and then we send in a bunch, and then we can order the triggers. So I don't think we actually hook here because we actually kind of want to not make a gold here, if given up the opportunity. If we do make a gold, then that's fine. But like, if we end up getting to clear the loan sharks for free, I think that's pretty worth it. And us clearing the mark here actually means that their Mask of Deceit is no longer very good as well, so I kind of like that play a lot. It looks like they might be giving us the armor here anyways, just to randomly flip. Oh, they flipped into random flip into Black Widow, always feels bad. It shouldn't be that bad though, because we know they have a Kiss of Death in Arsenal. They're not marking us, so like we just have to kind of block 6 on the next thing. Black Widow's a lot scarier when it's more cards. So let's order the Loan Sharks last here. So we can discard. God, because we've seen so many arrows, I almost want to just Arsenal the Redfin here. But we also have 2 Codexes left in the deck. So I think we're just going to discard the port side and keep the gold to tip. A little bit of a scary spot, though, because like if we don't... We have so many buffs that if we don't find an arrow, it's concerning. For what it's worth, we do have like the gold still, so we can like make a gold pin, and that's fine. All right, so we either need to accept the discard here or block 5. So the funny thing is they can also they discard a random card, they pump this, then they can like flick our hand to death. So we do need to actually block 5 here to prevent the black text from triggering. So I think in that case, I actually kind of want to just like give up the big game trophy shot and all of our armor. So this way, they pump 3, they cannot flick, they cannot black tech. So I think this makes the most amount of sense. Now they will flip back, they'll get a random mark, or they'll get to keep whatever card they have as Arsenal. I think it still makes sense to do that, just so we're not getting our entire hand ripped from like them sending like graphene afterwards. So let's start with the gold crack and just see what's on top. Alright, lots of buffs. Which is concerning. So actually, we can take game a take game, and that insulates us from having to... So I think we bottom the big game trophy shot, keep the take game here. We play gold the tip, we take game the take game, and then worst case scenario, we use the take game to load like just a gold fin to fire. So I think this works out perfectly here. Alright, so now the question is, do we want to just send the gold fin here, or do we also want to, or do we want to try to get greedy and try to send a red fin? So the gold fin would be coming in for 15. They're not flipping. Their setup's not very good right now. Interesting decision point. I feel like also if we brick here, sending the red fin unoverpowered is probably not ideal. I think it is probably supposed to be just a gold fin turn here, unfortunately. I feel like there's maybe like a greedy line where we like do something else here. Actually, what if we take in the seafloor salvage? Seafloor salvage, crack another gold. No, that still doesn't really make a ton of sense, does it? I guess it would give us free hook activation, but I don't think that's worth it. I feel like there's maybe something better I could do here, but I'm not 100%. Let's just hold on to the red fin. I think it's fine. We do still have this 2 codexes left, though. Kind of annoying turn. I think red fin might end up being good enough here, but I don't love arsenaling this, especially when we're off of our sea lace and then also off of I guess we're off of gold. The logic here is with arsenaling the red fin is because we don't have any gold gen. Arsenaling an arrow is fairly safe, but because we have 2 codexes left in the deck, a little bit hesitant to do this. I think we did pitch one though. We also still have 2 batters and a kraken. Yeah, I'm still not sure if this is correct. It's probably good enough, but I feel like there might have been something better here. Alright, so they do have the trapdoor, but I don't think they have another... Oh, they do have multiple inertia traps. Okay. We got an inertia trap gamer over here. I think that's a... Or is that not the set? Oh, they can get it from graveyard. Oh, right. Okay, so they only are running 1 inertia trap, but because... I think they can do this from graveyard, right? Yeah, so you can do it from graveyard. Banish target trap from your graveyard, and then... Okay, yeah, makes sense. So we still put the little 1 here, which is at least nice, but we do end up losing the red fin. So I guess it didn't really matter. I really like this card a lot. This card is quite cool. Just as a, I don't know. It's like one of the assassin cards that I think is actually like kind of neat. Obviously gets us pretty good here, but still have a gold we're sitting on, so not the end of the world. If they're just having like a Hunter's Clave turn, it's not that bad for us. The one concern here would obviously be like a Codex. They have a leave note yet, actually. Oh, they don't even have a leave note. So actually, maybe that's not even that concerning. Although Mark the Black Widow is still like pretty good. So if they do end up codexing us here, it's not even necessarily that bad. Okay, just a kiss of death. I say just a kiss of death as it's coming in for 11 for some reason, which is pretty good, I guess. So the issue here is obviously they can flick. So we need to not die to flick. So they can pull Calicera. This is coming in for 12. We're at 14. So we do need to respect this somehow with blocks. The question is like, how much do we want to respect this? I guess we just like give out the battering bolt and try to kill them with a gold fin next turn. So we take the damage. We're taking 8 in total, or no, we're taking 9 in total. They flick us, or they send the Calicera plus this, so we deal an extra 3, so we go to 2. I think that's probably gonna just have to be good enough here. Seems good. We do also have to play out the C4 salvage, which is like a little bit awkward. There's also a play where maybe we're supposed to actually... Hold on, actually maybe Sunken Treasure is a little bit better here. They don't mind undoing. Okay, they don't want to undo it. That's fine. I think his hand still works out, but maybe it was better to actually like hold on to the battering, so we're sending. I think it's still 9 either way though. So wait, why did they? Oh, they okay. Sorry, the daggers move positions. That was kind of weird. They pull tunic. They put us to 2 here, so that's fine. Okay, seems good. I'm curious why they didn't black tech. Interesting. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the seafloor. Let's turn over trophy shots. Take our harpoon. Hopefully draw blue here. Okay, blue is great. And then we get to fire in for 9. Should hopefully. I guess there's no real reason to hook there, but there's no reason not to. You could have like sigil or something. I know this list does, I think, run sigil. Oh, good game. So it seems like maybe just barely couldn't cover that. Yeah, this matchup's gotten a lot scarier. I feel like some of our draws towards the end there were not super great. Like, I think, what do we still have left in the deck? We did draw, I think we drew all of our 3x, which is at least nice. We still had, like, some codex still left in the deck, I think. So I don't think we actually pitched one early. Yeah, we still had some decent threats still left in the deck. But this matchup has gotten a lot scarier just because, like, the deck is very redline, very aggro. And blocking, like, Calyceras with the Tarantula Toxins is also quite painful. I think they're on, like, all 3 Tarantula Toxins at this point. So yeah, it's like a very, like, the damage output of this deck is like kind of crazy, like comparing it to Cindra, but you also get the on hits, which is kind of cool. So this might end up being like the new Cindra. I think this deck was also doing like quite well in Valencia, or at least some variant of the Marionette list. But yeah, anyways, that was a pretty good game. Let's see if we can get another. Playing against a Victor, what we got here? I don't think his matchup's generally too bad. I think it's a matchup where the riches are good. Ataya is not amazing, although there are some like fatigue variants of Victor. I think we'll just board out a Murder's Travel and bring in the riches. Go to like 32. I think we're still on 30. No, we're on 31 blues. Okay, seems good enough. All right, so what we got here? Excellent start with the King Shark, obviously. I would ideally like to hold on to a Lone Shark here. All right, so this is looking like more of like the fatigue Victor thing. Interesting. I don't want to maybe just give 2 cards to this. They can destroy the top 2 cards of my deck. I think that's fine. I don't know if I want to give like all 3. Milling 3, if they're going for like a more fatigue game plan, is like mildly concerning. You also like kind of want to like hold on to the Lone Shark, which is maybe like a little bit greedy. Let's do something like this. I think we'll leak 3 here, which is I think fine. They got a Codex of Blood Rot and then a Sleep Dart. Okay, not a big deal. Maybe an argument to even giving the Lone Shark there, but I do like having the early gold generation. An excellent follow-up hand. So let's go ahead and crack a gold just to load our King Shark here. Now we also get to play out the Lone Shark as well, which will help us maybe threaten that gold they have on the other end here. We are going off an Arsenal, which is fine because we still have 2 gold for backup. Overall, this should be pretty good. They have like a block card here. You can maybe try to cover this, but they don't have block card. Obviously, we're going to be ripping their hand, which is quite nice. Yeah, so I've seen a lot of this actually come up with Victor lists recently. Maybe it's just the ones on Talishar, I don't know. But like I've seen a lot more like Peck Perfect and doing like more of like a fatigue kind of game plan, which is interesting because I don't think it's actually better in Dust than like the normal like more kind of like aggro Victor game plan of like Choke Slam, Spinal Crush, Pummel, whatever. But maybe this is better against just the meta as a whole, is to like run Peck Perfect, which is like a card that your opponent doesn't really want to like block on turn 1, so you get like a bit of value there. Alright, so it seems like maybe we're just going to use the quick dodge here to fully cover, so we get all of their armor out of them, which is fantastic here. So they don't find a block card, which is great. And then we have a King Shark in the bin for whenever we find our codexes, so overall pretty good spot. Can't complain when all of your opponent's armor is out of the way. And then their follow-up here is just an E-Strike, so seems kind of on the weaker end. There's some options with this hand, but I do kind of just still like sending the bluefin here. We'll take a little bit more damage. Again, we have some life to work with, so I think if we can just disrupt them harder than they're able to disrupt us, then that's kind of like our ticket to winning this matchup. Like connecting with Harpoon, stealing their gold, is generally a bit safer of a strategy, it feels like. We could actually end up using the golden tipple next turn. It's so awkward though. No, I don't actually think that's the game plan. I think the game plan is still just crack a gold. We might end up taking some damage off the loan shark or whatever, but I think I'm still just liking sending the blue pin here. The golden tipple would be nice if we had like our tunic up and then we can like try to YOLO into some blues or whatever. But otherwise, I'm not a super big fan. Let's go ahead and just take the safe line here. Send the blue pin, which is I feel like more likely to actually connect based on if they like have if they have a 4 block plus a 3 block and then they can't cover with the rest of the armor. That's actually a really good play. So I think they would need like double block card plus another 3 block in hand plus a piece of armor to actually cover this. So I think disruption is kind of key here. Like they've used up most of their armor. We're still threatening like to strip their hand here as well. Right, so no blues, unfortunately, but we did at least get them to block with the blue. So they have the pummel, but they're probably not going to end up being able to pummel us next turn. So they might just end up sending E-Strike like IPing with pummel or something like that. So let's do the ponder first in case we draw like a block card. Okay, we're definitely going to just take 2 damage to hold on to that, though. Seems good enough for me. This next hand is excellent if we're not going to be disrupted. I have a hard time believing that they're going to be able to pummel anything here because they do have to do it on a 2 cost, right? So if they draw like, maybe they draw like a blue here and they have like CNC in Arsenal or something. You have to have like a very specific hand to make that work. Right, take a little bit more damage here. Opponent's basically out of armor and we're going to connect with something eventually, right? Oh, they did find the blue, but they just opted to not. So they bottomed the pummel, sending it with the millers. So we're still taking a bit of damage here, but I don't think it's time just yet to start like really concerning ourselves with the life totals a bit. Eventually, we're going to connect with something, and then we'll be in good shape. Go ahead and just rip this 3 oak. Could actually try to go 1 deeper, but we've seen a lot of our buffs, so like chances of hitting a buff are actually quite small. I think I'm just fine hitting the Kraken here. We actually would have drawn 3 buffs, which is kind of funny. Just hook again. Yeah, and just Arsenal to take aim. I think it's fine. I think take aim is like a slightly better Arsenal than Big Game Trophy Shot, just because it's like a little bit more consistent. Although Big Game Trophy Shot is pretty good in this position still, because we do have a pile of gold. It just depends like how high of resources our next hand ends up being. Like if it's like a low resource hand, then the Big Game Trophy Shot ends up being a lot worse. And for what it's worth, I think we have seen like pretty 50-50 between our reds and our reds, which are our yellows also, and our blues. So like maybe Big Game Trophy Shot's still like a fine Arsenal there. Opponent is just going to send in with the Macho. Good. Take another 8 damage. Could actually just throw the Sunken Treasure on this if we want to just save a little bit of life, which I think is fine. I don't know if we necessarily need all these blues to make our hand work next turn, so I think I'm fine actually maybe just getting rid of this Sunken. Get our little bit of gold value. I want to stay like a little bit healthy just in case they start like overpowering us or whatever. For what it's worth, we do still have our armor to work with, so like we're not necessarily very close to dead, but probably good just for let's actually make our harpoon first. Harpoon first, and then I think we'll get rid of the port side here. So Redfin's nice. I think I actually am going to try to filter into that. Excellent. So now we get to load here, pitch, and they should have some number of reds here. This is coming in for plus 4, so 15, so unlikely for them to block. So I think the hook here is relatively safe. They need some, like, they need like 3 block cards, which I guess is like somewhat likely given their kind of mid start here. But Seems more likely than not that this is going to connect. We'll sit on a bunch more golds. All right, disable, riches, and a right behind you. All right, so not very scary, especially when we're not on arsenal. Seems good to me. At this point, I think we're basically just going to out-damage them. Huh. Wonder why they didn't go. Maybe they want to arsenal disable. I guess that makes some sense. Oh, that's still a little bit weird. Could also just like block with this just to save like a little bit more damage, but I want to just get aggressive. Still have 4 armor to work with. Oh, and we funny enough, we win the clash there, which is hilarious. So they might end up bottoming our King Shark. I actually think that's wrong. Okay, so we draw the bottom of the King Shark. We bin a catch of the day. Getting rid of the King Shark there, I think, is actually smart because we probably would have sent that instead off of like the catch or whatever, and that would have probably been a lot better. All right, let's go ahead and start cracking some golds. Gold tip's not bad. It's probably better. Let's crack a little bit more, though. I think I want to just try to close out the game before they start finding anything super relevant. Crack one more time. Oh, Codex is interesting. So we can overpitch everything, play out the gold tip. Pitch like this. I think this makes sense. And we get to send another King Shark here, which is great. They'll obviously be able to buy back something. Oh, they didn't arsenal the disable last turn. Oh, interesting. They didn't arsenal anything last turn, it seems. I guess that kind of makes sense. Or what did they reveal off the top? I actually missed that. Oh, they had like a blue choke slam on top. I think they drew the blue choke slam. They had blue choke slam and disable or something. Okay, so yeah, not a super great arsenal there. Oh, and they're getting back the Peck Perfect, which I don't think is going to be amazing here. Okay, let's go ahead and just go bait hook because we had the riches this turn, and then we're coming in for 13, which is quite nice. All right, setting in for a nice solid 10 here. We should be probably stripping their hand as well if they are holding on to some number of attacks. So they can't play the Peck Perfect this turn, so we'll go ahead and just rip the choke slam. I guess they can hammer, but it's whatever. All right, excellent hand for hopefully ending the game. You need a couple things to, I guess, go our way, but should be relatively straightforward. How many big arrows do we still have left in the deck? We still have all of our 2 Krakens. I think we bottomed a shark, or they bottomed a shark for us, right? So we have like 3 big arrows left in the deck. So I think we're just going to try to crack towards one of our big ones. Still should also have a couple like blue fins, red fins here and there. So I'm not too concerned about like finding an arrow. Right, seems pretty good. It's actually really funny. I don't think they've seen like a single block card, right? So maybe our opponent's just like low rolling like super hard here, which I guess is a little bit of it feels bad. Not for me though. All right, let's keep that pre-med on top. I'm keeping the elephant there just as like a failsafe in case we like don't find an arrow. I think like elephant is also like semi-reasonable against this deck if they're running some number of yellows. All right, let's go and rip the pre-med. Do the 3 oak. And it seems like this will be good enough. We can also arsenal the pre-med for next turn. And it seems like they maybe are off. So where were their block cards? Wait, are they... Alright, they're running the test of strengths, but no trounce... Or no, 2 trounce... Alright, so they had... Wait, where were these in the deck? So they had trounce on top, test of strength, test of strength, test of strength. And then trounce down. Okay, so yeah, they just like were not finding their block cards, which is unfortunate. Maybe a little bit unlucky on our part. Like, I think that matchup's definitely like a little bit closer if they find their block cards, but like even then, I feel like a lot of the stuff they were doing was like super, like kind of non-impactful, like the Peck Perfect and stuff. Like it felt like they really didn't disrupt us at any point that game, which maybe it makes it kind of like a little bit of a non-game. But we still have like a ton of armor, so like even if we had gotten disrupted like a couple turns in a row, I still think we get there. But yeah, this matchup can be a little bit closer, I guess, if they do end up sending some pretty good disruption against Verdance. Let's see how this goes. So definitely want to go first. First board, so 0 AB. And then let's just try to race. So we should be on 31 blues with this. Let's see how this goes. Right, so we do have the trophy shot. We could actually just end up sending here if we want. I think our idea is to maybe just arsenal the Blood Rot next turn. Okay, 3 Oak is a good draw. Let's bottom the Hamstring though. Actually, maybe if we're drawing into the 3 Oak, we're just discarding the Blood Rot here. I'll try to send it for 10. That makes sense. I guess there's also maybe merit to just ripping the 3 Oak. I feel like I'd rather kind of sculpt the 3 Oak maybe a little bit better. Like, I think it's fine to me 3 Oak there because we'd be sending in 12 off the Yellowfin. I feel like I'd rather save the 3 Oak for a turn where they're not just going to get the free blocks off like Sink Below and stuff like that. So it looks like we might be taking 3 here, hopefully. Okay, nice. Get the golds. Excellent. Okay, they start with an Everbloom in the yard as well. So they have 2 Earth in the yard, but no third action. So they're still a little bit off Decompose, but they're a decent ways. This next hand actually looks pretty good. If they end up sending like an attack here that we can turn over, we can actually deny them the Decompose. Alternatively, you can also like C4 salvage. I think we're actually, if they're gonna do go again, I think it's actually correct to try to turn over one of their Earth cards here. So let's actually go ahead and turn over, I guess, their Autumn's Touch. Like, this basically prevents them from going for, like, Closed Chain into, like, Felling or something, which is kind of funny. I feel like that might actually end up being a pretty decent play. Because it seems like they maybe didn't want to send the Aether Arc here. Like, maybe they had, like, some other... Okay, maybe they didn't have anything. But I still think I kind of stand by that. Like, taking away the Earth card seems somewhat relevant. Alright, so let's go ahead. So we're not going to end up making gold here. That's fine. Let's go ahead and just send Kraken, probably. Oh, we find riches too, which is quite nice. So I think here, because we drew the Shark and we drew the Codex, they don't have like a really great Codex target yet. Let's go ahead and just overpitch these 3, I think. And because we drew the riches, we obviously get a nice little gold refresh here, which is pretty good. Yeah, sitting on the Codex feels pretty safe here. And I may decompose yet, and we also, if they are just sitting a Plow Under, it's probably going to likely be coming in for 2. Alright, let's go ahead and take, I guess, just the Heartbeat here. I don't think it really matters between the two, because they might just end up E-striking it anyways. We're starting on 4 gold here, which is actually quite nice. Keep the riches. So this hand's a little bit mid. I think I'm just going to give up the Redfin here. I think we'll hold the Catch of the Day. Like, we're technically losing +1 value, but we might end up getting them to make like an unlock or something like that. So I think holding on to the Catch of the Day actually does make a fair bit of sense here. So we'll end up like losing 1 point of value, but this might end up being a decent amount of disruption. So I'd kind of like still holding on to it. Okay, let's go ahead and fire off another Kraken. There's maybe an argument to trying to use a little bit of our gold there. Like, our hand was already kind of good enough. Like, make that hand better, we would need to draw a buff, which was semi-likely. I think we could have gotten like a little bit greedier there. Alright, all attacks in hand, which is, I guess, unfortunate. But at least the nice part here is like they can't send like multiple attacks, right? So overall, still not the end of the world unless they have like an E-Strike in Arsenal. So it's interesting. They go for the Plow. They're only sending 2. I think they're unlikely to actually go for the Plow. If they do, it's like fine, because now we can just like Codex, right? So I'm actually kind of curious if they're going to go for the Tilling on them. I feel like it's correct to probably go for the Tilling. Oh, they do have the E-Strike. Okay. So unfortunately, they did see all 3 of their E-Strikes, which is a bit funny. So I almost want them to Plow here. Would be my preference. Let's go ahead and take 4. See what they're going to do. The next turn, we might actually end up getting a little bit greedy with the gold. Okay, Okay, they're gonna go for the killing instead. I think our plan here is to then, in this case, send the King Shark. So I think I'm actually gonna start giving a couple blocks here just so that we're not getting in like burn bear range. Because we're gonna be leaking 5, we're gonna go to 22. They could definitely, given their start, just like burn us out from here. Let's go ahead and just save a little bit of health here. Generally around like the 20 health point is like when I try to start trying to give equipment. But in this case, let's go ahead. I think I'm going to try to do the 5-int tunic play and just see if we can maybe find a buff off the top 2. And so we do find 1 buff. Let's see if we can maybe either find another blue or maybe another buff would be also ideal. Port side is fine. Now we get to just send in King Shark for 15 and then Arsenal Codex. So hopefully they might be incentivized to try to keep an Arsenal here. I don't think I'm also going to hook this. Might get a better hook later. I don't think we're in a super big rush. For what's worth, they also have like a pretty low earth count in graveyard. So like they might not be decomposing super fast here. Okay, seems like they're basically going to give us the full hand here. Right, last card is the Seeds Tomorrow, which is basically do nothing into us. Now we can just safely arsenal the Codex here. For what it's worth, because they have Seeds and a random arsenal, they could Seeds us in response to the Codex. But in that case, they're just getting back like a Tilling or something, which is kind of whatever. Could actually like force them to get an E-Strike here or a Fruit. Maybe like a little bit better. Also just like end up cracking some. Let's crack a little bit of gold and just see what we can see. I would like at least like 1 pump here. We might even go 1 deeper. Let's go 1 deeper and just see what's up. All right, take aim is perfect. Excellent. Now we get to go take aim, salvage. Because I know about the seeds, I almost do want to just turn over the tilling. We're not getting the gold value, but we already made some gold this turn, so I think it's fine. But we know they're IPing with the seeds here. And these are all whatever, so I'm fine discarding whatever. We already redfin them in, so maybe discarding the triple is also fine. So they should... Okay, interesting. They're not going to seeds there. So in that case, what are we most scared of here? Probably still non-attacks, right? They're a free hook. And we'll come in for another 13 here. They do still have a lot of armor to work with, so we're not necessarily doing great this game. But we are at least keeping the tempo, which is important. Looks like they're maybe giving us a bit of armor here. So they have the seeds to cover 5, maybe giving us like Stonewall to cover 2, so it's 7. And they need like 6 blocks, so maybe just like Barkskin plus 4 or Barkskin plus something else. I don't have the Barkskin live yet though. Maybe it's just D-React or something. Or no, it's the seeds, right? Maybe they didn't want seeds first, actually, because they didn't want to get back an E-Strike, which is also, I think, reasonable. Seems good, though. Got all the armor out of the way. We're still going to keep an Arsenal next turn, so... Could be worse. There are some kind of stinky Arsenals we can draw, just like random blue arrow or whatever. Oh, interesting. They're going for the bounce crack. I guess that makes sense. Maybe they just want something to do with their turn next. Alright, Lundshark's a fine Arsenal. Alright, just to light up the leaves. Maybe even the Lightning Moon follow-up. So we're getting close to kill range. Alright, not quite there yet. So this is not presumably a blue card. Alright, let's go ahead and keep getting greedy with the Loan Sharks. Perfect draw. Now we can just rip this. Should be pretty safe, and then we can just like arsenal whatever. Good. So I think my ideal arsenal, since we're sitting on this gold pile, is big game. I think I'm almost even fine IPing with the pre-med here, although we could dig like a little bit deeper. We still have one codex in the deck, a couple other big arrows. Debating whether or not I want to actually like hold on to this pre-med. I think it's probably fine though. Let's go ahead and pitch our blues. It's maybe a little bit greedy, but I think it's fine to get a little greedy. My hope here is we can strip an attack from them and then maybe time walk them. Interesting they chose to block with the felling there. Maybe because they have another felling. Ooh, unfortunate. Maybe we should have actually gone for the Kraken here. Yeah, maybe it was a mistake. We've not seen a ton of fellings. We've also not seen a ton of, well, we saw like one plow. But maybe this was actually the incorrect harpoon choice. I think I wasn't paying close enough attention to what actually they had. So that might actually end up being my fault. They sow tomorrow. They're gonna like send, well, they're definitely like sending a felling here. Hey, just getting like a random card banish, whatever. Oh, they can also go wide with the Waning Moon here. Actually, this is gonna be like a very, very good turn for them. Okay, so this is a little unfortunate for us. So option one. So I think our main issue there is we chose the wrong harpoon, and I think that's maybe why we're gonna end up losing this one. We could also not be losing, but this is concerning. Can we afford to give up full tempo here and just hope they have nothing on the next turn? Maybe that's like our strat. They've also not seen a ton of plow unders. So what if we gave 5 here, we go to 11, and then we just try to kill them with like a big Goldfin? Go to 3. So what the kill range is typically 9. We give up these two. What happens if we take 5 instead? We go exactly to 9. We could also give up the tunic here. We did this. That means we go to 10, which is technically outside the kill range for Burn Bear. Yeah, actually, I think this is like the highest upside play, maybe. So we need a trophy shot. Discard something, send 10. But then we're also losing the tunic, which is painful. I think this makes more sense slightly. Obviously not in love with this. We also don't have a 3 oak, but we are at least sitting at the theoretical outside the kill range life total. Okay, and then could have also played it like a little bit safer and just like try to block out. A lot of interesting choices we had this game. All right, let's go ahead and crack some gold. Codex, huh? I think we're just rolling. Could also just like call it there. Do this, just send the thing. I don't think we want to play the Codex here. Okay, so we discard the pre-med. Load. I guess 10 is going to have to be good enough here. Like, it feels like this should not be hitting, though. Is a concern for the loan shark purposes. Let's see how it goes, though. They do have 5 block with the bark skin, plus maybe another 3 block from hand or something like that. Or maybe like a D-React from hand, so they could take 1 here, at least the line I'm seeing. They don't have D-React to kill them, but obviously I think they should have some number of D-Reacts still left. Really depends on what the follow-up is here. There's a root bound, which we've not seen. For what it's worth, if it does connect, we do end up making the gold to keep the loan sharks around. All right, mental block. So, okay, so the loan sharks will be going away. So we go down to 6, which is rough. Now I think we're officially in Burn Bear range. It could basically just be dead this turn. How many burn bears have we seen? We've seen, I think, 2. Oh, they're gonna scour for 0. Okay, maybe just to get it out of arsenal or whatever. Makes sense. Might end up being dead here. We'll go for it. I guess the question is, do we have to go even deeper to try to win? We'll go 1 deeper. Pitch the king shark because we don't really want to hold on to it. Alright, so now we can maybe crack 1 last piece of gold. Might be a little suspect if we find a red though. Okay. Yeah, about as good as it gets. If they have it, they have it. Not much we can do. For what it's worth, if they had it, they probably should have cracked it off earlier, but maybe they're playing around with convention or whatever. We'll see. I'm trying to think if we should have done something different this game. I'll give them a good game as well. I assume they have us here, but like maybe they're just like slower. Or maybe we do have it. Who knows? Maybe they just drew a little bit of unfortunate, which I guess sometimes can happen. Oh, it seems like that. Oh, yeah, that's a nasty Verdance hand. So they did draw the. they drew too many burn bears, which is maybe a little unfortunate. So yeah, I feel like we probably lost that game, but we maybe just got a little bit of lucky variance on our end. I think for what it's worth, like, what was the hand they drew last turn? They drew. Hold on. It was like Rootbound, Scour, Mental Block, or something like that. So like, if we did block out the Felling there, it actually would have been better, right? Because we would put them on a hand that functionally does not like it. It's like results oriented, right? I feel like there are a couple mistakes this game. Like I think the biggest mistake was probably sending the King Kraken the 1 turn over the King Shark, because it looks like a lot of these Verdance lists have been running a lot more like higher density of attack actions. It seems like the non-attack's actually not quite as high as it used to be. Like looking at the deck, it looks like it's almost like maybe like 5 to 10 cards under, like maybe like 8 cards under. Like they have more attacks than non-attacks. Kind of hard to see though, obviously on Telchar. But it looks like a lot of these lists are a lot more attack oriented, which may be good information for next time. All right, that was a pretty good one to end it on. All right, so that was the Cindra-Smacker 9000. Again, I finally found a Cindra opponent. I recorded like a separate outro where I like didn't find a Cindra, and I went back, went on Telchar, found some Cindra to bully, and then bully them. But anyways, this is a Cindra-Smacker 9000. I think its deck is actually like pretty solid into Cindra, and like the overall game plan is pretty good. I think if you do want to attack a little bit harder for Cindra, like there's like an opportunity for like 1 additional like red hamstring in the board. I think that's also quite reasonable. But yeah, definitely a lot of interesting things you can do into Cindra. Again, we're still working on the gravy plan here. I think I have 4 slots in the deck that are not currently in here, just because I think the gravy plan I still have some things I'm kind of working on. But yeah, I think there are a lot of different directions you can go with the gravy plan. Like we talked about the swells, the drop the anchors. That's like one plan. You could also try the endless plan, which has seen like a decent amount of success. Like I think there's definitely some room for experimentation with the gravy plan as well. But yeah, thank you all for watching. Again, if you have any thoughts on Cindra or just like the deck in general, let me know. I think the deck's still really good. I still am a little bit of a doubter sometimes. Like sometimes I just like don't see my 3 oaks and then I cry. But yeah, otherwise I think the deck is still really good. So thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoy, and I'll see y'all next time. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.